The victorious return of hydroplane legend Chip Hanauer has put the heat squarely on the shoulders of defending champ Dave Villwock. Hanauer showed early on that Miss Pico will be a force on the water, and it'll be up to his former teammate Villwock to stave him off in the next event. These two boats are the ones to beat. These two drivers face off again as the unlimited hydroplanes invade our neighbors to the north for Budweiser Thunderfest.
The two were teammates. Dave Villwock, the crew chief on the Miss Circus, which Chip Hanauer drove to the national championship. In fact, it was Chip who brought Dave up from the limited ranks for that job. Watching him today in the pits, hard to believe they were ever teammates and very good friends.
And Chip Hanauer, as we mentioned, the winner in Lake Havasu City, qualifying second.
Boy, would he love to make it 2 in a row over Dave Villwock. It's a long shot, but it was in Havasu too.
Dave Villwock obviously still the man to beat, even though he didn't finish in first place in Havasu City. He did qualify first here in Barron.
And by quite a bit. To say the Budweiser team has their game faces on would be an understatement. This was the scene yesterday, Rich. The Bud Shootout put the top 4 qualifiers on the water, racing for $5,000, and it gave the fans here a chance to see hydro racing for the first time.
And guess who won? None other than Dave Villwock and Miss Budweiser.
Dave, the shootout gave you a chance to go racing on the 3-cornered race course. What did you learn?
Well, Miss Budweiser is fast. It's rough out there in the first turn, so that's going to be something everybody's going to have to contend with. But luckily, we got the Miss Budweiser out front and started our first step at kicking Chip Hanauer's ass this weekend.
Go Boat is getting ready for 3B. We'll have more on Chip Hanauer's return next.
Since leaving the Budweiser team in the mid-90s, Chip Hanauer had stated repeatedly he would not be back in boat racing until the right opportunity presented itself. Many of us feared that opportunity might never come along, but the Progressive Tool Company of Detroit, nicknamed Pico, and their very strong racing team made the call during the off-season. Now we've got a new combination. The winningest living driver in unlimited hydroplane racing, one of the strongest teams of the last decade. How will they come together? Well, we're about to find out.
And Steve, as we told you earlier, Chip won his first heat back in the water, and it truly was an emotional scene on the dock.
It feels like another hurdle. You know, it's getting back in the boat for the very first time, testing, then going out and having a true test session and really pushing the boat harder, then coming here and qualifying and working with the team, and then getting the first heat done. So more than anything, it just feels like another hurdle over.
Today's Alamo Almanac is brought to you by Alamo Rent-A-Car. Ready, set, go. Come on and drive happy today.
The first of Chip Hanauer's 58 victories as an unlimited driver came in Bob Stiles' Squire Shop in 1979. Then Fran Muncie put him in the Blue Blaster following the death of her husband Bill. That boat became the Miller American, and Hanauer became a regular visitor to the winner's circle, driving the Circus in 1989 with crew chief Dave Villwock, a national championship. Then a string of Gold Cup and national championship victories for owner Bernie Little and the Budweiser team. A pre-race accident in 1994 injured Hanauer and began a series of disappointments and injuries. But in 1995, Hanauer rallied to win his 10th Gold Cup, also owner Bernie Little's 10th. But a year later, disaster struck as Miss Budweiser got loose in the first turn in Detroit, landed on top of the camel-powered Smokin' Joe's. Those injuries put Hanauer on the beach for 3 years. Today, he returns.
Chip, he's excellent. He's an awesome driver. He's, I always say he's got his head screwed on right. He does a tremendous job on the race course, and he's very concentrated. When he gets in that boat, I didn't ever want to say anything to him. I didn't want to break his concentration because he's set, his eyes are set, he's going to win.
The Budweiser is not in lane 1. He's out in lane 3. That is Greg Hopp on the inside in the commercial sealants now. Here comes the Budweiser. If he times it right, he's going to have a big advantage here, but he has to slow down, and the Pico's going to go by him. Our O'Doul's eye in the sky, you see Villwock was out ahead of the field as he approached the start-finish line. Apparently, he was early. Right here, he had to back off, and you see how badly that cost him, as both Mark Webber and Chip Hanauer went by him and gained an advantage that may last throughout this heat. There it is from another view, a tremendous start by Hanauer. He hit it right on the zeros. So far, that's been the story of this final heat.
Driving fantastically perfectly throughout this day, and especially in the final. Originally, it was Mark Webber and Greg Hopp giving chase. Now it's Miss Budweiser, but Steve, it doesn't look like even Dave Villwock is going to catch Chip Hanauer.
Hanauer through turns 1 and 2 for the final time. Now he's on the back straightaway. A little bit of a surprise here at the performance of this boat. The Pico did not handle or run this well in 1998. Is it all the driver? Well, who knows? But the crew obviously has given Chip a strong race boat, and not only does it make for an exciting day, but it gives us a tremendous season of racing to look forward to here in 99 as Hanauer turns toward the checkered flag for the final time.
The O'Doul's eye in the sky captures it, and the drama has come to an end. Chip Hanauer puts the exclamation point on a fantastic day of racing, and yeah, the Miss Pico team can celebrate. Chip Hanauer, a triumphant return to the sport of unlimited hydroplane racing.
50 moment in unlimited racing. Hey, pal, welcome back.
I can't believe it. I cannot believe it.
The thing ran for you, didn't it?
It ran because of him. We struggled all week, and Ken just stays very focused, and he gave me the best boat we've had all week when I needed it.
Looking forward to 99 now, huh?
Oh, no, I'm not looking past about midnight tonight. I haven't driven one of these things for 3 years, and I'm going to have so much fun tonight.
David, a great boat race for the fans. You're hooking up with an old rival. This is going to be fun, isn't it?
It is going to be fun. Yeah, I just got us up there a little bit early, and you know, the crew did a great job in the boat. I mean, it really accelerated. We accelerated better than we had all weekend. So I got up there about a second early, and I had to get off the gas when everybody else was getting on the gas. So it got us in a big tunnel going into the first turn, and had to drive our way out of that and you know, get around in position. But you know, we just didn't have quite enough RPM to get around the outside. So that's the way it goes.
Going to be a great season for the fans. The driver, the starter are going to be so critical. A lot of great equipment out here.
There is. So, you know, we'll just see. But the good news for us is we came out here on top on the national points deal, which is everything to us. We like that you won.
Even when you're Chip Hanauer with 58 career victories in unlimited hydroplanes, nobody can expect you to come out of a 3-year retirement and be competitive your first time in a brand new boat. But Hanauer did exactly that in Havasu, defeating his old teammate, Dave Villwock, in Miss Budweiser. You had to call it an upset. Can it happen again here in Barrie? Well, we'll see. Once again, Hanauer will be well inside of Budweiser, out in lane 3. Greg Hopp between them. Steve David in lane 4 in the Freddy's Club, and out in lane 5, the piston-powered Master Tire with Mike Webber. Still about 20 seconds to go before the start of this race. The boat's scoring up now, Rich. The lanes have been chosen, so that part has been decided.
And you heard some gamesmanship on the part of Dave Villwock and Miss Budweiser. He was saying that all the other boats got a fast start. He was ready to kind of lay in the weeds and make a move on them once the race started. Now with 15 seconds to go, it's all about jockeying for position.
Everybody right where they want to be at about the 10-second mark, turning left to head for start-finish. Villwock back a bit in lane 3, but he'll have good boat speed. Hanauer will have the inside as the clock ticks down to 0.
And the start is a clean one. It's Chip Hanauer and Miss Pico in lane 1 with the lead. But as you mentioned, Miss Budweiser was back in the pack before the starting line and picking up speed already in turn 1.
Dave Villwock's view has a boat ahead of him. We don't see this very often in the Budweiser on-boat camera. That is our leader, but look at the Budweiser come around the outside as Villwock tries to drive around Chip Hanauer.
It might turn out to be just as he planned it. If you talk to Dave Villwock before the race, he tells you that he's going to wait for the other boats to get ahead and then use that power that the Budweiser has to pull ahead once the race starts. That's exactly what he's done. Now it's the Budweiser in the lead on one of the straightaways, followed by Chip Hanauer.
And he has control now, Rich. The Budweiser can dictate the radius. He has to leave a lane for Hanauer, but it doesn't have to be a big one, and that doesn't let Hanauer run really fast and loose like he'd like to. The Budweiser now with almost a rooster tail lead over the second place Miss Pico. But any way that could have gone any better for you?
No, this Bud team is awesome right now, I tell you. You know, a lot of people give me some slack for saying how good they really are, but they gave me a perfect boat ride all weekend long, never missed a beat. Mark Smith, Lauren, sorry, the rest of the guys, unbelievable. I mean, we were just totally unbeatable today. They came here to a new course. It was very, very different, and set it up perfectly from day one, and then we were able to carry that initiative and that inertia into today. So, you know, and we got a lot of practice at the starts too. Boy, we run a lot of time. So, this thanks to Budweiser, Ralph's, Las Vegas. Bernie Little, who allowed me to come back after my injury a couple of years ago. So thank you very much, Bernie.
Good. That kicked her ass.
Yeah, I think we said, see, I told you I was going to kick Hanauer's ass really bad this weekend. He's going to be sore for a couple of weeks, I think.
I have never seen the Budweiser team more determined than they were here in Barrie. They lost the final race of 1998. They lost the first event of 1999, and they were not going to lose this one. Now, Chip Hanauer can finally relax a little bit and go over and congratulate his former crew chief and teammate.
Oh, now the camera's on. I'm going to go back and push him in.
Well, you know that you're faster than everybody but Dave, and you'll have him next time.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm kind of used to that story, faster than everybody but Dave. But, you know, we got to forget these heats. They're behind us, and this is what we all came for. To Evansville 4 is the final.
10 seconds to the start as they accelerate up toward 200 miles per hour. Here comes the field, down to the start line, Rich, and we're underway.
A great start for Chip Hanauer, who motors through the field and has a big lead in first place going around the first turn. What a start for Chip Hanauer, who takes over first place, leaving the Bud and all the other boats in his wake.
He was very close to the start line as the clock ticked down to 0, but it was a great start for Hanauer. He had the boat speed to get ahead of the Budweiser, and right now, Hanauer has Miss Pico ahead of the field here in our final heat in Evansville. There's the rooster tail of the Bud. He's right on his hip, and he's going to try to get around him here.
You could hear the crowds on the side of the Ohio River cheering wildly for Chip Hanauer as he got out to the big lead. Currently in second, though, and starting to breathe down Hanauer's neck is Dave Villwock in the Miss Budweiser. He is not going to make this easy.
You saw Hanauer swing a little bit wide coming out of that turn. He can do that. He controls the radius. Villwock has to guess where the turn is going to be, and that cost him just a little bit of speed. 146.6 for the Pico in the first lap as the Budweiser continues to give chase on the outside.
And he made up some ground, Dave Villwock did, around that turn as they head down the back stretch, the Kentucky straightaway. Chip Hanauer trying to hold him off, but Dave Villwock with that excellent cornering ability from the Miss Budweiser, making up some ground.
Now we understand that the start is under review, Rich. The officials are looking at the videotape. We knew it was close, hopefully for Hanauer, not too close, as he has accomplished his purpose here. He has put a start on Dave Villwock, and he is leading this race, at least on the water. That there was an infraction. Here it is. A light will come on in that dark circle at the bottom of the screen right as the clock gets to 0. That's the Pico coming, and here he is. The light comes on. He's about a half a boat length across the line at 190 miles per hour. That's 293 feet per second. The Pico jumped the gun by 5/100ths of a second. What a heartbreak for Chip Hanauer.
Chip, it's obviously tough. The boat ran great, though. You had the boat. You just jumped the start, it looked like.
Yeah, apparently that's the problem.
Well, tell us what's going through your mind now after the boat ran so well for you.
Just disappointment. But to beat him, we have to really push it, and I'd rather push it and be over than be conservative and not have a chance to win.
We'll see you in Madison.
I'll be there.
Chip Hanauer in Fred Leland's Miss Pico has not been able to put up qualifying speeds close to Dave Villwock's in Miss Budweiser, but then who has? The important thing is that the boat and driver in competition have been very competitive. They have been able to race with the Miss Budweiser, particularly when Hanauer gets a good start. And that is something he has done incredibly well for a guy who was out of the sport 3 years. Now, last week, he jumped the gun by about 15 feet in the final heat in Evansville. That's 5/100ths of a second over the line. It may have cost him a victory. Now, Miss Pico and Hanauer appear ready to race the Red Rocket. Should make for a great day of competition.
We are all set for the grand finale on the Ohio River, the unlimited final from the Jasper Engine and Transmissions Indiana Governor's Cup.
Coming under the bridge for the run down to start finish, and you see the Budweiser, the Pico, is off to his left. A big story there, Rich, as Chip Hanauer is going to have the inside. Here's the start. They're a little late, actually. A legal start. Jim Harvey's boat. Steve David making a great start on the outside.
From the O'Doul's eye in the sky, you see the Pico in front. There's Budweiser second, and there's Greg Hoppin third.
Where the Budweiser's in trouble. Oh, we have a crash.
The Budweiser is overturned underwater. Unbelievable what happened. It looked like he ran into Hop's rooster tail.
That's exactly what happened, Rich. The Budweiser thundering into that turn somewhere between 190 and 200 miles per hour. Dave Villwock trying to hold his lane. Now watch him. The red boat, he's back a little bit, not in great position. He'll slide to the right just a little bit now and get into the skid fin rooster tail off of Greg Hopp's boat. The tremendous hydraulic pressure picks him up, turns him over.
A lot of damage to the Miss Budweiser boat as it goes upside down. Steve's on the docks with Bernie Little.
And we're just sorry we can't participate now in the final here in Madison, Indiana. But one thing about it, Dave's a hard driver, and he knew what he was doing and knew what he was going for, and he's going to win.
We have word he's walking around on the back of the boat, and that's real good news.
Yeah, that really is. But the speed he had to be going into that turn, that's excellent news.
I'll talk to him. I'll say something.
Was it one of those spots you showed us on the tour, or did somebody get in the way?
No, everything was fine. Chip went out a little bit, and already Hop was too close. Some team driving there, and I think, Chip moved out a little bit and got the boat in the air, and I went to the side a little bit, and then Hop was already too close and pulling in, and so I went through his rooster tail out through the other way. So, but that's what happens. As I said before, some team driving looks on by my part, but I don't know what the referees will say.
The way Dave Villwock tells it, Chip moved out a little bit, and your other boat, the black and white one driven by Greg Hopp, moved in a little. He's talking team driving. Anything to that?
Not that I know about, but then Dave's a real crybaby, so we'll have to wait and see what the referees calls.
You didn't tell him to get together like that?
No, I didn't tell him anything.
Flag's going to fly for Chip Hanauer. This will be a big celebration.
Miss Pico, the U100 boat, owner Fred Leland, driver Chip Hanauer, your winner of the Jasper, Indiana Governor's Cup.
Pull him over here.
Here, Chip.
Way to go!
Hey, it's a win. In fact, it's 2 already this season. How did number 60 feel?
It's a relief going out knowing the day was okay. I've been there. I've been in the corner in the Budweiser upside down, and anything can happen. So it was great news that he was okay. And then it was back down to business and try and win, and it worked out great.
There's going to be some celebrating in the Miss Pico camp, but not for Miss Budweiser. They have a long week ahead of them getting ready for the APVA Gold Cup from Detroit, which is coming up next on the Hydros 99 Tour. Good show of sportsmanship by Dave Villwock, one of the people congratulating your winner, Chip Hanauer.
Coming down to the start, 5 seconds. Watch the countdown. 3, 2, 1. It's a legal start. Mark Webber first across the line. The Pico right beside him. The Bud back a bit. Villwock has some traffic to get through here if he's going to contend.
A great way to start this race. You can sense that these drivers wanted to time it perfectly. The Bud has talked before about starting a little later and catching up to the field with his superior speed and cornering abilities. That's what he's trying to do right now. But right now, from the O'Doul's eye in the sky, it is Miss Pico and Chip Hanauer with that lead.
Right there, the Budweiser actually moved from 3rd place up into 2nd as he got by Mark Webber. Right now, the 2nd and 3rd place boats are neck and neck, but look at the Pico go. We have not seen this boat run like this today. Can Hanauer stay ahead of the Budweiser? He has 4.5 very long laps where he'd have to do that, but he has a great start here in the final heat of the 99 Gold Cup.
And look at the turning ability of Chip Hanauer around the rooster tail turn. Jackie Leland loves what she sees so far, but we talked about it earlier, Steve. It's a 5-lap marathon, and Chip Hanauer, as good as he is still going to have to come up with one of the best races of his life to hold off Dave Villwock.
We saw it in one of the preliminaries. Hanauer had a bigger lead than this, and Villwock drove around him, but I don't think Miss Pico was running like she is right now. This is the fastest this boat has looked all season.
From the O'Doul's eye in the sky, you see about a rooster tail lead for Chip Hanauer as they go into the Belle Isle curve turn, and Dave Villwock has his work cut out for him.
Hanauer has built the lead. He is further ahead of the Budweiser than he was last time through the Belle Isle turn. 1.5 laps down now, 3.5 to go, and we could have quite a story developing here.
What a look at Chip Hanauer as he is leading the field, and everyone's been running so well in the Detroit River. Greg Hopp, Mark Webber, Dave Villwock, and Hanauer, of course, but everyone else is being left in the dust right now. Chip Hanauer is leading this field, and Bernie Little is urging on Miss Budweiser. Who knows if Bud's got it in his gas tank?
You can see exactly what Bernie was saying. Go get him. Go get him. He has a lot of time left. Look at Hanauer fly that boat. He is walking sponson to sponson at 200 miles per hour, and I'm sure the last thing on his mind, Rich, is that 3 years ago he went on his head right there and nearly ended his career, if not his life.
From the O'Doul's eye in the sky, you see Chip Hanauer maintaining the lead on Dave Villwock. Steve, we tried to talk to Chip before the race. We tried to talk to Fred Leland before the race. Neither of them were talking to the media. They knew they had to get their heads together, a meeting of the minds, a brain trust, if you will, to get this race under their belts. And right now they are running the race of their lives, beating Dave Villwock at this point for the 99 APBA Gold Cup, the last Gold Cup of the millennium.
Hundreds of thousands of fans up and down the Detroit River here realizing that Budweiser is not catching Miss Pico. They have to be as shocked as Dave Villwock is. The Progressive Tool Company, Pico, is headquartered in Detroit. They have thousands of fans here. I think most of them are in the pits, Rich, and they're going crazy. But here comes the Bud. He's on the inside now. He can't keep it in there. He has to go back across the wake of the Pico.
And if he stayed inside that inside lane and tried to get his nose in there, Steve, he might have risked turning that boat upside down, get caught in Chip's Rooster Tail, another popular boat here in Detroit, in fifth. But it's Chip Hanauer continuing to lead this race.
This crowd, these crews, these owners shocked that the Budweiser has not been able to make up some of this lead, that Hanauer has established. A white flag flies. Could it be that Chip Hanauer's 61st career victory will be his 11th Gold Cup? He has to hold off Villwock and the Budweiser one more lap, Rich.
And that is a great shot. Dave Villwock has indeed come up to the inside lane.
That water looks a lot smoother than it is from the O'Doul's eye in the sky as the Pico is pounding through that big, sweeping 1,500-foot Belle Isle turn. A little over half a lap now for Hanauer. The Budweiser would have to pull off a miracle here to catch him, and we're going to have a big story if this is the way this Gold Cup ends.
And Steve, as much as Chip Hanauer enjoys racing on the Detroit River, I'm sure right now what's going through his mind is, I cannot wait for this race to be over to see that checkered flag. It can't come too soon for Chip and the Miss Pico.
Every one of those holes in this very rough river looks twice as deep right now. For Chip Hanauer, around the Rooster Tail turn, the checkered flag flies. Miss Pico and Chip Hanauer have won the 1999 Gold Cup, defeating Dave Villwock and Miss Budweiser Mark Webber. And the
we've seen, if anyone could top it, it was this one, and it came when it counted most in the finals. The APBA Gold Cup going to Chip Hanauer for the 11th time, and ecstatic people on the docks of the Miss Pico crew. There's Jackie Leland hugging the rest of her boys, and you know Fred Leland is somewhere celebrating as well. All the fans out here loving what they just saw. Miss Pico in first, followed by Miss Budweiser, Miss DYC and Mark Webber in third. Easton Hotels, Chrysler Jeep, Ken Muscatel did not start this race. Miss Budweiser loses 100 points of ground to Miss Pico, but still leads the overall high point standings. It is celebration time in the pits for Chip, the Lelands, the Pico crew, and all of their fans. With the winner of the 99 APBA Gold Cup.
So you saved a little for the end, huh?
Oh, it's so awesome. I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
Nice job.
I can't believe it.
You didn't show them everything you had till it counted, did you?
No, these guys kept telling me to be patient. Telling me to be patient. Larry, thank you.
Man, what a wonderful race you ran.
They just said, be patient. We got behind, you know, when we couldn't get in the water on Thursday and we couldn't get in the water on Friday. They said, hang in there, we'll figure it out. And Ken Dryden figured it out. Ken's a great guy.
Chip, you've won so many Gold Cups. How does this one compare?
I'd say this is the second best. The first one, it's like your first kiss. Nothing ever comes close to that. But after that, this is the one. This is the one.
Hey, nice job. Tim, I have a very jubilant group down here. Jackie Leland, are you a happy lady?
Dave, we knew it was going to come down to you versus Chip in the finals, and what a great weekend of racing. And you ended up in second, but obviously no shame in that. It was a tremendous weekend.
Well, yeah, we came out, we won more World Championship points than he did, so that's important to us as well. We wanted to win that Gold Cup, but we haven't gone through tech inspection yet.
Tell us about the race itself. Everything looked pretty clean, and in the end, you just couldn't catch him like you did in the heat too.
Yeah, it was rough, and you know, I just had to pick through the rough stuff, and that's the way it goes.
All right, we'll see you later on.
Thanks.
That's all right.
If there is a benchmark in hydroplane racing, it is the APBA Gold Cup. Chip Hanauer has now won 11 of them in his illustrious career. He lifted that trophy above his head with the strength of 1,000 men, spurred on by the thousands and thousands of fans that came to Detroit and the shores of the Detroit River to cheer this man on, who is now 1 win away from tying Bill Muncie's all-time career wins record. We hope you enjoyed watching it as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you. For Steve Montgomery, I'm Rich Hollenberg. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com, part of the Go Network, go.com. So long from Detroit.
Gee, I guess now I'm the defending champ.
It's been a seesaw battle between Hanauer and Dave Villwock, the two pilots trading wins in the first part of the season. It seems every time one boat wins, the other boat answers to keep pace. Hanauer's highlights feature a dramatic Gold Cup win in Detroit. Villwock's victories include his continued success in Norfolk. And what a way to kick things off, Steve. Dave Villwock and the Miss Budweiser setting a new course record in qualifying.
Over the magic 170-mile-per-hour mark. Very impressive.
We wanted to show them what we could do if we really tried, and we knew that the record was attainable, and we often don't take that chance to run the boat on the ragged edge to set records like that. But yesterday we decided to just do it.
They let it all hang out. So did the Miss Pico, Chip Hanauer, qualifying second.
5 miles per hour slower than the Budweiser, but the Pico team has won 3 races this season and hasn't impressed anybody in qualifying. And the battle for lane 1 has been won by Chip Hanauer. That's going to make it interesting. The Budweiser with Villwock in 2, Steve David and the Freddy's Club out in 3, then Greg Hopp and the Miss Tri-Cities, Nate Brown, the Lumar Window Film, and Jerry Hale, the Tweetons RV Mart, will be on the outside. Look at Greg Hopp, good boat speed right here at the start.
And even though it's his rookie year, one thing Greg's been known for already is his aggressive starts.
Good start by the youngster in the white boat in the middle of your screen. Look off to the right now. The O'Doul's Eye in the Sky showing you a little bit of a lead. The Budweiser over the Pico. And right here is where the Budweiser really accelerates well.
Unparalleled in its turning ability coming out of the turn. And there's the Pico coming out of that turn, getting a little loose going into the back straightaway. And the Bud extends its lead. But it looks like, Steve, the Pico hanging with him, trying to gain some ground.
Most of this advantage you see right here came as the Pico got a little bit sideways, as you said. But look at him now, gaining on Villwock. He has the inside, and that will be an advantage in this turn. Look, he's loose. Oh, no! A terrible crash. The Pico got very, very loose just as they approached the apex of the turn, got into the Budweiser rooster tail. And where is Hanauer? Is the boat floating upside down?
It doesn't look like it's floating upside down. It actually looks like it's right side up, but we saw parts flying everywhere when it got caught up in the Bud's rooster tail. There you see Chip Hanauer and the Miss Pico in the water, and it looks like, yeah, the cockpit is open, so that's somewhat good news, but we'll have to take a look and see exactly how it ended up right side up.
Looking again, the two boats at the entrance pin, it appeared the Budweiser was leaving a lane for the Pico, but it was not a wide one, certainly. Did Hanauer get into the rooster tail before or after the flip? And this particular angle, not definitive.
No, but this is what happens, Steve, when hydroplanes get close to deck racing, as we call it, closing the gap on the Miss Budweiser, and that's what initiated this crash. And you see what a violent, spectacular crash it is. The nose of the Miss Pico actually hitting the water. I think that's how the boat ended up right side up, as we saw it before we went into these replays. Here's another look at it, a more spectacular flip you will not see, and Steve, you've seen a lot of them.
And several of them right here at this spot on this race course. Something about the way the wind comes down the river, and that may have been the entire problem. Hard to tell whether Hanauer got into that rooster tail. Hopefully, that signal from one of the rescue divers means that Hanauer is okay. Landing right side up, not always good news, Rich. We've had drivers seriously hurt that way. Some very concerned crewmen off.
Back to the Columbia Cup, Ralph's Thunder Tour, presented by Las Vegas in Tri-Cities, Washington. Everyone concerned about Chip Hanauer. He's brought onto the shores of the Columbia River, being carted off into an ambulance for precautionary measures. Still not sure the extent of his injuries. The Miss Pico, however, it's a little more evident. It is damaged goods. It'll be tough to get it back on the water. Steve's now with Bernie Little and Dave Villwock.
Bernie Little, what can you tell us about your former driver? What kind of shape is he in?
Well, I talked to the doctor, and I told Chip, I said, "You're fine, Chip." And he just looks at you, you know. But the doctor said he was fine.
Dave, I know you talked to Chip, and he is hurting, but hopefully okay.
Yeah, I hope so. I just said, you know, if he needs anything, just let us know, him and his family. You know, Chip came to me in the hospital about 4 times here a couple of years ago, and I just wanted to know that, you know, if he's going to have a hospital stay, that we're there for him.
Almanac is brought to you by Alamo Rent-A-Car. Ready, set, go. Come on and drive happy today.
The broken nose of the Miss Pico will not keep her from competing in the final heat here today, driven by backup driver Mike Weber, and it brings back memories of several previous similar incidents. This one in 1996 on Friday in qualifying. Dave Villwock crashes the Miss Pico, then known as the Pico American Dream, on the front straightaway at Seattle. The boat was badly damaged, had to be withdrawn from the weekend. Now Fred Leland goes to the Hydro Farm out in Kirkland and brings out a boat known as Old Lucky, a boat that had campaigned very well for this team. Villwock gets into his backup boat, has a great Sunday, and ends up winning the 1996 Seafair race after crashing on Friday. Now, a year later, Mark Evans turned the Pico upside down in a preliminary heat. The crew dried it out and drove it to victory in the final. There's Dave Villwock on the winner's stand at Seafair 96 on his way to a national championship.
By the way, Chip will be here at the Pico camp a bit later on this morning. I'm sure we'll be able to talk with him live. There was some discussion, Steve, that Chip was an alternate driver today, but he has not taken the morning physical. Whether that disqualifies him as a driver, I'm not sure.
Chip's not going to be here. At least it appears he's not going to be here. How's that affect the way you drive, and how's that affect the whole race?
I'm going to approach it as though he's here. I think there's a good chance that they'll put him back in there for the final, so we'll see.
Hydroplane history was made yesterday in San Diego as the Budweiser team set a new world record with a lap speed over 173 miles an hour.
I knew the boat was running really good and the water was really good, so I knew that there was a chance right there to go after a record.
Bernie Little and the Budweiser crew could celebrate, but they'd have to keep their game faces on. World record in hand, Villwock again chased by Chip Hanauer, back after a 2-race layoff due to injury.
In good shape in lane 1, Mark Evans in lane 2. Hanauer has the Pico in 3. Greg Hopp and the Miss Pontiac took lane 4 and moved Dave Villwock and Miss Budweiser clear out to lane 5. The Appian Geronimo with Mitch Evans is in 6. Mark Tate and the Freddy's Club back in the trailer boat position. Here's the start. Mark Webber in good shape over in lane 1.
In not so good shape, Greg Hopp and the Miss Pontiac, he's getting squeezed early on.
Right there you see him running out of water, getting into a salty rooster tail and shutting down as the Budweiser already with an overlap. He's crowding the field a little bit in the first turn. It's going to be very, very tight in there. Watch the Pico, and Mark Webber and the York International still okay.
There's Greg Hopp in the Miss Pontiac. It looks like he's trying to relight that candle from our O'Doul's Eye in the sky. You see Chip Hanauer hanging with Miss Budweiser, and Miss Budweiser trying to find enough room to get inside in that inside lane on the Pico.
Now when a driver wants to win from the outside where Villwock is right now, he'll leave a lane for the boat inside him, but just a lane. No extra room at all, and that's what the Bud is doing right now.
These two guys, very friendly rivals, but make no mistake about it, they are rivals. Dave Villwock realizes Chip Hanauer is his #1 competition.
Mark, here comes Greg Hopp, still running very, very hard for a boat that's well back. There the Miss Pontiac.
Oh, no! Greg Hopp is over, and a huge crash. Greg Hopp with the Miss Budweiser coming up behind him, crashes right near Ski Beach, and Greg Hopp's boat is torn to bits.
It's right side up, and that may be good news. We won't have to worry about Greg himself taking on water here. This is the exact spot that we featured in our Alamo Almanac. It's the same place that Randy Haas flipped his unlimited light, and now we've seen a spectacular crash. We can only hope that our Rookie of the Year, Greg Hopp, is okay after flipping the Miss Pontiac, driving very, very hard, Rich, for a guy who really didn't have anything to gain. And the UHRA rescue team. Here's a replay now. The boat high in the air. This is a nasty crash. It lands on the left front sponson, and we can see the inside of the boat as it literally comes apart right before us. And it's spectacular, Rich. These are 6,500-pound boats, and to see them flying around like a leaf in the wind is really, really scary.
Once they get up in the air, they're as light as a feather, made of fiberglass. And look at the geyser of water that comes up once it hits the water. And that impact is not to be underestimated, even though some people might think a crash in water isn't as violent as a crash on, say, pavement or a racetrack. It is.
It didn't happen on the race course. It was obviously going to anyway, but you've been declared the winner here in San Diego, so congratulations one more time.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I mean, that was a prideful win for me because I won every heat today at the starting line. And outstarting Hanauer is a tough thing to do, but we did it all day today, and that was fun.
Were you surprised how easy it was to come from lane 4?
Yeah, we were outside, but once again, Chip and the rest of the guys had got up too early, and I was able to get the timing mark down and get a run on them, and carried a lot of boat speed across the start line, and that made the rest of the race tough for them.